Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to my channel. I hope that you're doing well. If you're new here, a very warm welcome. My name is Emily and this channel is all about living abroad, and because I live there right now, it's generally about Canada. So if you enjoy that kind of content, don't forget to check out my channel, and if you want to subscribe. In today's video, I want to talk about 5 things that I have picked up as a newcomer coming to British Columbia. So 5 newcomer habits that I have adopted by not even realizing it. It's just kind of become a habit. When I was reflecting on this, it was quite interesting to see the new things that I do here that I didn't in Ontario or in the UK. So perhaps some of these resonate with you. Perhaps I just wasn't doing things that I should have or could have been doing when I was in Ontario or the UK, but that's for you to decide. So the first one, I think, and I don't know if this is because of living in a place with more destinations to go to or because of the pandemic and having to only be able to local travel. I've just given it away. But it is local travel and the appreciation of local travel and doing local travel and going on local adventures and day trips. I found that living in British Columbia, I do way more of this than I ever did living anywhere else. There are so many places to visit on the island, whether that is a regional park, whether it's camping, although I haven't done camping yet because I didn't have my camping gear last summer and this summer hasn't happened yet. Whale watching tours and going up island to Tofino and Ucluelet, beach days, hiking trails, boat trips, going to the museum, going to places like Miniature World or the Bug Zoo. And again, that might be because of the pandemic and being restricted only to local travel. But I know even as soon as we can kind of travel onto the mainland, like Vancouver and Whistler, all those places, Squamish, the Okanagan, like there's just so many places in British Columbia that I want to visit. It's so nice to not feel like I have to get on a plane and travel somewhere in a different country or a different province. So local travel and taking advantage of local travel is definitely a newcomer habit that I have picked up while living in BC. The second one is small talk with strangers. This is something that I've briefly touched on in other videos, and especially as an introvert and a Brit, like I was not used to kind of having small talk with strangers. I mean, I was brought up in a very small village and obviously I knew people, so I feel like that's not the same. Yes, I'd have small talk and chat with my neighbors, but I knew them from being very young. So here it's different. I feel like I speak to more people in the streets, people approach you more often, you know, in the grocery store. I was in the grocery store the other day and I was picking out some treats for my cats and someone just randomly approached me and helped me out and was talking to me about cat food and this website that they'd researched and all of the different ratings for cat food, and just we struck up a conversation about cats and cat food, and it was very random, but it was kind of nice to have a connection with somebody even though they're a complete stranger. I'd never seen them before, I'll probably never see them again. Well, maybe, it's a small town, so who knows. I feel like I would never have got that in Toronto. I'd never had anybody kind of approach me in Toronto, or I'd never really make small talk with people in the street, and especially not in the UK unless you kind of know somebody really well or you just come across someone who is inherently friendly. That is definitely something that I guess it wasn't a habit to start with, it was kind of something that was just happened to me, and now I will strike up conversations with people. And yeah, it's one that I really, really like. I think actually most of these habits I really like. The third one is a bit of a funny one. So this, I don't know if this is a thing as much in Toronto as it is here, but sorting your garbage, your trash, your rubbish, is something that I've definitely become way more involved with and way more passionate about since living in BC. I've always been an avid recycler anytime I can recycle something. But in BC, we have, even in our apartment, we have 3 different rubbish bins, one for ordinary or landfill, then there's one for recycling, and then there is a compost bin. We never had recycling or compost bins in our Toronto apartment. We did recycle, I kind of just had like a recycling bag that I used, but it wasn't as kind of expected, I felt like, in Toronto as it is here. We were given these things, we were given a recycling bin, we were given a compost bin when we moved in here, so I feel like it's way more important to people here perhaps than it was in Toronto, or perhaps I was just living under a rock, who knows. I don't remember in the UK ever having a compost bin for like your kitchen waste. It was just kind of like garden waste. Maybe that's changed now, or maybe it's different in different areas, I'm not sure. And even with recycling, it's like you don't just put things into recycling. When we go downstairs where we have to kind of drop off our bins, there are different places for different types of recycling. So there's the cardboard and paper, there's plastic, and then there's glass, and then there's also a big area where you can put bottles and cans. So these are things that get refunds. I don't know I can't remember if we ever had this in the UK. I don't think so. But in Canada, when you buy like a can of whatever, or a bottle, a glass bottle, there's usually a refund on it. You get like 10 cents or something if you return it. I think it's just a recycling incentive. But rather than you taking it to, say, wherever you can take it, I think it's like in Ontario it was the beer store that took it. I'm not quite sure where it is in BC. But rather than you take it, they put them all into this one big bag in our building, and all of the refund that comes back from the bottles and the cans goes to charity, which I really, really love. I think that's just such a fantastic idea. So easy. You're basically helping a charity by throwing away your garbage in the right way. Like, how absolutely brilliant is that? So yeah, that's definitely something that I was always aware of, but I've adopted way more living in BC than I ever had living anywhere else. Another habit that I've adopted while living in BC is growing things in the garden. Now, I always had a balcony garden in Toronto. I kind of always grew the same things. There was like basil, strawberries, tomatoes, mint, and that was pretty much as far as my green finger went. I had one money tree in the apartment, and we kind of adopted it from somewhere else, and I think I might have overwatered it. It didn't do too well. It never died. It was very, very hardy, but yeah, I was never great with plants. Whereas in BC, I feel like there's so many more people that garden here, and I've been able to get advice from friends and colleagues who garden, and I have myself become way more invested in gardening, not just having a balcony garden, but actually house plants. I have a new money tree, I have a banana plant, an orange plant, I have like blueberry bushes and a grapevine and tomato plants, and I grew peas from a seed last year. I've definitely become way more invested in this, and I just love it. I don't know if it's to do more with the climate here. It's just plants are happier to grow here as opposed to in Toronto, where it was like beating down sun and like dried out pretty much anything. Here I feel like it's a lot easier to maintain the garden. It's definitely been a really, really beneficial habit to pick up on, because I have actually got things out of the garden like peas and blueberries and strawberries and all kinds of things that I don't have to buy at the store. I can just grow them here. It's just awesome. And that's actually resulted in me starting to try to grow kitchen scraps. So things that you'd usually throw away, you can regrow them. I tried celery last year. It didn't do too well. That wasn't a great one. Then I tried an avocado pit. I still have one trying to grow, but it's just not really sprouting. The roots are not happening. But I had a success, and oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Say hello to my pineapple plant. Now I know it looks a little bit worse for wear, but there is new growth coming from the top. It took me about 5 pineapple heads to finally get one to root, and then I planted it, and obviously that's the scariest part, because you're like, is it gonna take? And it's been in its pot for 3 weeks now. It's got new growth, so I feel like that is a good sign. So yeah, it will probably never give me a pineapple, but how cute is that? I feel so proud. This was supposed to be thrown away, and I made it into a cute little plant. I definitely put that down to my new green finger growing habit that I've picked up living in BC. And finally, this habit is quite interesting. This definitely doesn't apply to all of BC, but perhaps just places on the coast and especially the island. But my final newcomer habit to BC and especially Vancouver Island and living on the coast has been checking the tide. So the tide times and when the tide comes in and when the tide comes out. And that's something that I never had considered before, but it's something living on an island you kind of have to, especially if you want to visit certain places. You can only visit them when the tide is out, when it's low, you know, tide pools. So there's a very popular beach called Botanical Beach, and unless you go when the tide is out, there's pretty much nothing to see. Same with Glass Beach in Sydney, so a big kind kind of pastime in BC is hunting for sea glass and also painted rocks, but that's another video. That's a really cool one. And you can't go to Glass Beach unless really the tide is out, because the tide is just covering the entire beach. So looking at tide times and seeing when the tide is in and out and planning your visits and your day around tide times has been something that I've definitely picked up on while living here. I think it's also the same, just weather in general and wind times too. So if you ever want to be on the water, like if you want to paddleboard or go out on the boat, you kind of have to know this kind of stuff. You have to be really kind of plugged into the weather. I don't know, I like it. I think it's a very interesting one, definitely one that I never really thought that I'd have to think about, but I just kind of naturally picked up that habit, and it's definitely been one that I have to think about at least once a week. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. For those of you who are thinking about moving to BC, or perhaps if you already live here, I would love to know if you have picked up any of these habits or if you've picked up different habits. I'm also going to be doing a video soon, like a question and answer video. So if you do have any questions or things that you want me to go into detail about, please let me know in the comments below or send me a message on Instagram, because I really want to do like a kind of a big video answering any questions that you might have about being an expat, living abroad, living in Canada, about Vancouver Island, Victoria, or anything like that. So if you do have questions, please let me know. There will be a video coming soon for that. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel. Doing that really helps to push it to others who might also be interested. So it really helps this little tiny channel to grow, and I really appreciate it. And also hearing your comments and your thoughts honestly makes my day. So if you do, send me a comment and say hello, even if it is just a quick hi. I'd love to hear from you. Until my next video, I hope you have the most wonderful day, and I will see you again very soon. Bye.